Hello there, good evening and welcome to Business Today. I'm Jerome Paul Sonko with Winnie Buiza Nakauchi on Sign Language. And among the stories that we do have for you tonight, we shall be looking at transforming food systems, import substitution, the East African Community Court, and the unemployment status in Uganda. But kicking it off, we start with the East African Community Court, where the second annual East African Court of Justice Judicial Conference is set for the 26th to the 28th of October 2022 in Kampala, Uganda, to bridge the access to justice gap for cross-border trade disputes within the region. In preparation for the conference, therefore, the judge, who is the president of the East African Community Court, His Lordship Nestor Kayobera, touched base at the Entebbe International Airport, accompanied by the Vice President of the East African Community Court of Justice. Pedison Mumbere has more.
The second country in the region to host the second annual East African Court of Justice Judicial Conference after Bujumbura did so last year is Uganda. According to a report on Smart 24 TV that aired on October 14th, the Deputy Prime Minister responsible for East African Affairs, Honorable Rebecca Kadaga, confirmed this in her statements.
East African Court of Justice will be convening in Uganda from the 1st of November to the 30th to hear new cases, but also to hear appeals and to deliver rulings.
When His Lordship Nestor Kayobera, the Judge President of the East African Community Court, arrived at Entebbe International Airport, he briefed the media on the need for financing for the East African Court of Justice to expedite its judicial duties.
Yes. It's about case in other cases. So partner says I raise our judgment. So the court has powers. What we require is only that the court be given the administrative and the financial autonomy. That's only what we require from the heads of state, from the Council of Ministers, to give the court the financial and the administrative autonomy, which until today, with 20 years into existence, the court does not have financial and administrative autonomy.
When asked if the conference will address case backlog issues affecting not only Uganda but also other East African member states, His Lordship Kayobera responds that this can only be addressed once the East African Court is permanently seated rather than working on ad hoc basis.
Of course, it's there. And the backlog being there is not the issue of judges. It's about the partner assess, the Council of Ministers, and the summit. So in order to resolve the issue of backlog, it's the summit. They have to make the court permanent. The court is not permanent. We are sitting only on ad hoc. So even when we have come here, I'm sure we will not resolve the issue of backlog. The issue of backlog will be only resolved when the service of judges will be permanent. Of course, some cases will be handled here, because for example, from the first instance we have more than 20 cases. In April we have more than 16 cases. But I'm sure, from even when we were here, cases are being filed to our court. So the issue of resolving the backlog is not only by coming here; it is by giving the court the permanence to be in the court be permanent. That's why we resolve the issue of backlog.
As of right now, Uganda has a total case backlog of 50,592 cases, projecting 30.11% of the 168,007 pending cases. As of March 2018, 141,107 cases across all court levels in Tanzania had been resolved as a result of efforts by the judiciary to reduce the backlog. Several themes, including the following, will be discussed during the second judicial conference. One is the significance of the national and regional courts in closing the access to justice gap for cross-border trade disputes. Another one is equal protection under the law and easy access to justice, taking down obstacles in national and regional courts, among others. Pedson Mumbere, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
All right, now let's look at transforming food systems in Uganda. The indigenous and traditional food systems have been a significant source of health that guarantees both societal stability and also the access to food and nutrients. Now, with the increase in food security and importance of organic food systems in the country, Pelham Uganda organizes an agroecology week to emphasize on indigenous and traditional food markets. Mary Goretti Nachiganda with the details.
Agroecology is a study and body of practices that examines how various elements of the agricultural ecosystem interact. It aims to develop sustainable agriculture methods that maximize and stabilize yields. GMOs, or genetically modified organisms, were created to improve agriculture and boost the production of food, both in terms of quality and quantity. However, the claim that GMOs will increase wealth, eradicate poverty, and ensure food security is one that stirs debate. Some civil society organizations are relieved that General Kaguta Museveni, the president of Uganda, has not given his approval to the genetically modified bill that was presented to him. This is consistent with the false perception that genetically modified organisms are primarily concerned with ensuring food security and survival.
Be told, as Pelham Uganda, we stand and still maintain that our stand is no to GMOs. And why we are saying this is because of the impact of GMOs in terms of seed sovereignty, in terms of trade, and in terms of the impact it will have in terms of dependency on the GMO manufacturers and the people that are benefiting from the GMO trade. We do not want a scenario where our farmers are continuously buying seed from the likes of Monsanto and all the others that are promoting and manufacturing GMOs for the African countries. We know that this has got mainly terminated genes, and as people that are promoting agroecology, we believe in ecosystem balance, we believe in biodiversity, we believe in synergy building, we believe in harnessing our indigenous knowledge and heritage.
The food fair, which brings together a variety of stakeholders under the theme, Indigenous Food Systems, Building Resilience in Nutrition, aims to raise awareness about the business opportunities in agroecology, forge connections in the market, and among other things, to expand the market for ecological products.
The objective of this event is basically to provide a platform to synergize and also discuss issues that are affecting the transformation of our food systems through scaling up agroecology. One of the side events will be targeting or will focus on agroecology for climate action. This will be spearheaded by Action Aid. We want to bring out the farmers' voices on how farmers have used agroecology for climate resilience. Systems and agroecology, this is where we want to talk about seed sovereignty, because for us, agroecology is all about the right to seed and the right to food. So this is where we want to present the farmers' petition in line to agroecology promotion in Uganda. We've been tripling to see how do we ensure that we have adequate finances for the sector, but specifically now for agroecology, looking at transforming our food systems. And agroecology, this is the way to go. So this is an opportunity for us as duty bearers, but also as advocates. How do we advocate for a total transformation of our food systems? Because we all know the challenges that we are having with the industrialized food system that we are having at the end of the day, but also the challenges that climate change has brought amidst us.
Youth and female engagement in agroecology has been implemented, and many have been urged to arm themselves with information for this lucrative endeavor.
You see the target now through the National Organic Agriculture, through the National Agricultural Policy, through the National Development Plan 3 for Uganda. The emphasis is involvement of youth more into initiatives of agriculture.
We will have most youth being able to exhibit and showcase the various innovations that they have been able to develop. And this is now going to be an integrated kind of approach. We have the innovations coming from Kenya, Rwanda, and Ethiopia, and as well as Uganda. Let them be able to demonstrate that they are able actually to contribute to the economy of our countries and be able to position themselves to find employment gainfully in the agroecology business.
Specifically to the women who are basically do much of the labor in terms of production, but the return on investment is very minimal. So this is a platform, to showcase what our women do or our mothers do in a day-to-day.
Participants in this food fair will be able to relive their traditions, learn about the development of our food systems, and re-establish the preservation and consumption of native foods. With the beginning of the My Food is African campaign, this will be crowned. Mary Great Nachiganda, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
And now let's talk matters import substitution. While there are implications in importation, Uganda is the largest importer of air wigs and accounts for 769 shipments. His Excellency President Yoweri Museveni has expressed his dissatisfaction with how much is spent on the importation of this human hair and other false hair extension through several media channels. However, how can a country thrive when there are imbalances in a sector like this one? We have more of this report courtesy of Ronan Ahawe.
Import substitution is an economic policy that advocates for replacing foreign imports with domestic production. Now recently, while His Excellency was commissioning a leather factory in Luweero district, he mentioned that instead of focusing more on value addition in agricultural products, Ugandans continue to import hair of dead people, that is human hair, that's how he referred to it. But in this story, we ascertain to the fact that human hair is indeed a market chain and actually Ugandans are benefiting from it. We do have more.
He has groundwork. When someone tells him or her that, Mr. President, people, they import human hair for dead people from Europe, so he hates that. It's like the time he hated Mivumba, old clothes. So here, you see, we have only even one building selling those things for the ladies. Hair, what, nails. It's only, I think, Gatherland and Cornerstone. They are only the buildings where they sell those wigs. But for me, or for us, we traders, we need to get money.
Wholesalers of hair extensions in Uganda buy their hair from suppliers in Vietnam, India, China for resale. Or to put it in another way, there are no wholesale hair providers in Uganda because the population has coarse, brittle and thin hair. Despite the fact that Ugandans have hair, these companies do not collect hair from them. Selling wholesale hair extensions in Uganda is a lucrative industry that is currently growing significantly. Since Asian hair is easier to style than hair from other locations, the majority of wholesale hair dealers who sell their hair extensions in Uganda prefer to import their hair from other Asian countries. Data from the Trade Economy Portal reveals the top trading partners of human hair wigs, false beards, eyebrows, eyelashes, switches and the like. China with a share of 53%, that's about 1.12 million US dollars. Tanzania with a share of 33%, that's 713,000 US dollars. Kenya with a share of 11.1%, $235,000. Nigeria with a share of 1.06, 22,000 US dollars. South Sudan 6.2,000 US dollars, USA that is 3.4,000 US dollars, Indonesia 945 US dollars, Canada 365 US dollars, United Kingdom 306 US dollars, Hong Kong 271 US dollars. The price of wholesale hair in Uganda is nearly always much more than in other nations because the majority of suppliers are resellers. According to a human hair trader, this business is profitable and the hair extensions are cost-effective, long-lasting and user-friendly.
And like 5 to 6 M, you can get a profit of 2.5. Yeah, it is very saving. And there we've got some ladies in the villages who don't even work. So she can get one human wig in 5 months, in 5 years. So I think the government should not abolish human wigs since they are very good, and it helps ladies to save too. They don't spend a lot of money in painting hair every month, going to the salon. So I think they are very good.
The government has received continual advice regarding import substitution, which is founded on the idea that a nation should endeavor to decrease its reliance on foreign sources by industrializing domestic production of goods. But can Uganda be able to produce? Rona Nahabwe, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
The level of unemployment in Uganda is a worrying one, and our next report highlights more about this one. According to the projections made by the Trading Economics Global Macro Models and analysts, the unemployment rate in Uganda will reach 3.10% by the end of 2022. On average, it is predicted that the unemployment would trend between 2.7% and 2.9% between 2030 and 2040. Martha Nimsima reports.
Dr. Henry Clark Kisembo said that while unemployment has been for a long time and is only expected to rise, Ugandans shouldn't be concerned about it, but instead they could take advantage of their natural resources to make a living and fight unemployment.
Unemployment is not a new phenomenon, and it should not be a cause for alarm. Even if 2021 it was at 2.9, about that, right? Then it's projected to go to 3.01 by the end of 2022. This is a country that it has natural resources. Natural resources involves even those the work that people used to think is for just the peasants, the poor. Agriculture, for example, is the most paying work that any youth can think about. You can earn from agriculture as long as you have the skills. But also, even if you don't have the skills, you can go to vocational training. It's no longer shame to have a degree and then you go for vocational skills training. Government has put together programs, but for example, the parish development model, and also there was the youth development program. You'll find the women development program. So all these are projects which are meant to enhance employment levels.
The unemployment rate should be reduced by young people becoming skilled and imaginative rather than waiting for the government to provide work for them.
We have started skilling the youth. There's nothing for free. I want the youth to be skilled, whereby they can become entrepreneurs. That's the best way to go than asking government to give you jobs. There's no job that the government is going to give you. Be creative, be an entrepreneur, and start your business. Get skilled, because most of them don't want to get skilled. You should get skilled in a particular, either in carpentry, mechanics, in welding, or something. At least you have a skill into something, whereby that's the way to go.
The population of Uganda, which is 77% under 30, is expected to double between 2020 and 2060. There aren't enough jobs available. The rate of youth unemployment is currently high and will go up as the population increases.
All right, and moving away from that, we look at carbon trading now. As Uganda's efforts to transition to a middle-income economy are heavily dependent on the expansion of the industry. The pressure for environmental protection and sustainable development is intensifying, and the new systems like carbon trading are emerging as alternatives to offset emissions as climate change becomes a serious global issue. Ivan Tibenkana reports.
As the importance to offset greenhouse gas emissions grows, the need for economic growth has been redefined as the world struggles to create climate-smart investments that are attractive from both a financial and environmental viewpoint.
And for carbon trade is growing by the day, and Uganda has a high potential to go into carbon trading. Reason being that Uganda is very rich in natural capital, in the natural resources, forests, wetlands, all those ecosystems. We are very rich, and those are carbon sinks. So we need to prepare ourselves and position ourselves very well and have all the readiness mechanisms in place. Currently, Uganda does not have regulations to go into carbon trade, and we are in the process of doing that. Secondly, we need to have all the architecture to ensure that we can participate effectively.
One of the expanding environmental economic endeavors is carbon trading, which offers a means to offset emissions through forestry and preservation of wetlands and the environment at large to build carbon sinks.
paid to maintain this plantation for a number of years. But actually what is being done is that an industry somewhere in the world is emitting excess carbon dioxide, and that excess carbon dioxide, they pay it in form of a fine, which is monetary, and then that money is used to pay a grower in Uganda to maintain a bigger forest, which in principle is going to absorb some of the carbon dioxide from the environment. Their estimates, and the estimates are based on the type of tree and the acreage. So basically, those who are involved in the carbon trade, you'll be told that if you grow this species of tree and this amount of acres, you'll be paid this month. So the payment is based on how many acres you have.
The market, which is still relatively new to many African nations because of both compliance and voluntary carbon markets. Gabon just launched a program to issue 187 million carbon credits, and Uganda is becoming a hotspot.
Carbon trading is going to be one of the most expensive commodities in the years to come. So Uganda has a very high potential to tap onto that.
In reaction to industrialization, land usage, and other human activities, Uganda has experienced rising temperatures since 1995 as socio-economic transition goes out of hand.
Looked at in this state of climate, the temperature started increasing slightly all the way from 1995, and up to now the temperatures are continuing increasing. And from the 2021 state of climate, it shows that areas of western Uganda, western region, the temperatures are increasing more than any other parts of the country.
It's possible that this is a reaction to the rising unemployment crisis reflected from Uganda's low GDP per capita, as new business concepts such as waste management, among other green jobs, are hardly enticing to most Ugandans.
Failing to train these key important players around waste management. And you know the reason? Because everyone sees it's waste, it's dirty work. I myself, my first research when I'm becoming an activist, that's where I went. And I can tell you that if we train these stakeholders and improve their standards at work, the youth will be attracted to join that industry. Do you know that a kilo of plastic, sorted plastic, this simply polythene, goes for 500 shillings? Very little money. And these are key players who are actually helping us to stop what we call the landfill. And I'm talking about only the waste sorters, but not the guys who drop the waste. You understand? So my area of emphasis as a key player is to follow the 17th sustainability or the goal to partner with KCCA.
The manufacturing sector, according to Isaac Oropet, is committed to sustainable production through the support of climate-smart projects in forestry as a way to produce sinks for the industrial carbon footprint.
Countrywide, we are running a tree planting campaign. We're working with different organizations. For example, we have a partnership with Total and Stambik to plant fruit trees in schools. We currently have a capacity of producing up to about 500,000 seedlings every year. And all these are given out for free.
Despite difficulties with market dynamics and project literacy, carbon trading is one of the models African states are adopting to combat global warming and climate change. Ivan Tibenkana, Smart 24, Business Today.
All right, now Business Today, let's take a break. We do return with the Coffee Court. Stick around. Good evening.